Now everybody wants to start saying, oh, this is bad. It's 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. This is bad. Well, dude, I was telling you all this ever since the beginning of the road to WrestleMania, at the least. At the least. Now, if we really want to talk about it, we'll go as far as last year in January. And then we had The Rock show up at Elimination Chamber and not show up at WrestleMania and send Travis Scott out there. Then we had one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. I'm not going to call it the worst. It was one of the worst. And I never thought that you could ever say that about John Cena and Cody Rhodes. No matter how bad of a match you could have, I would never say, man, I never thought I would say, man, this is one of the worst WrestleMania main events I've ever watched. And it indeed was. You see, I'm still not on board with the whole 2-night WrestleMania thing. I'm still not on board with that because I don't think we have that many storylines to where we're like, oh man, we need 2 nights of this shit. We got 2 nights worth of matches that we give 0 fucks about. And then 3 of the 8 or 9 that we have confirmed, or is it 12? I think we have 12 matches confirmed actually, right? So out of those 12 matches that we have confirmed for the 2 nights of WrestleMania, guess what? There are only 3 that I was interested in. I have 0 interest in any of those matches now. Now, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, they can change that tonight. They can change that and get right back on course tonight. But so far, I was interested. Then after last week, I was uninterested because I'm like, why are we going this route when we just went the Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes route, where Randy Orton beat the shit out of Cody Rhodes? Why are we doing this? These are your 2 top guys. And we're going the exact same route they're doing on Friday Night SmackDown. And who is to say that they're not going to involve a celebrity tonight? That's the funny part about all of this. Everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, CM Punk and Roman Reigns. At least they didn't have At least they don't need a celebrity. None of these need a celebrity. None. 0. Nada. Zilch. It is beyond me why we need something like that. In your main event, we got Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton battling for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And you're going to involve Jelly Roll. Why? And then last Friday, you're going to involve Pat McAfee. Why? So let's go ahead and get over to this Pat McAfee shit, man. Because this is coming from somebody who is a fan of McAfee. I don't think that I'm out of the, out of the realm or out of, touch when it comes to the whole Pat McAfee thing. I've always known about the hype. I've always known how entertaining he is. He reminds me of one of my old friends. Like, he just has that kind of energy. But at the same time, it's like, all right, man, like, he kind of like extended your stay with a whole bunch of shit. Like, he's everywhere. Every fucking where, every fucking sport. Every time you turn on fucking anything in terms of sports, it's this nigga. And I get it. If I were him, I'd probably do the same thing. You get a bag everywhere. And you're having fun doing it. And you're a guy that never, ever, ever would have thought that you would have this position as being a fucking punter. And that's no knock to him. I'm just saying that's coming from his own fucking mouth. So I've always been a fan of Pat McAfee, contrary to popular belief. But here's the only problem. He's everywhere. Now it's oversaturation of fucking McAfee. Now it's like, and he's not the greatest commentator, but I get it. He's a fan, blah, blah, whatever. Here's the problem that I started to have with Pat McAfee last year. Gunther taps out to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. You would think that Gunther is going to face someone. I don't know, maybe Braun Breaker, I don't know, Seth Rollins, somebody of notoriety after you were just the world heavyweight champion, one of the longest reigning intercontinental champions in recent fucking memory. And yet here we are in 2025. What was it? It was like May or June of 2025. And you have Gunther feuding with Pat fucking McAfee. Again, why? So we had to wait for that whole feud to die out and burn out, which it did pretty quick, thankfully. But it's not like Gunther went in a backlash and he just handled Pat McAfee perfectly and just dominated. That's not what happened at all. They made it a very competitive match. They made it seem like Pat McAfee actually had a chance against Gunther of all fucking people. Then you had to renege on the situation. You had to I won't say retcon, but you had to rewrite a lot of the bad shit and a lot of bad ill will that you had with Gunther, WrestleMania and on, when you had him go on his retirement tour and then become a world heavyweight champion again in the midst of that and then lose it again, which I'm not mad at him losing. I'm not mad at the way he lost it either. But then you had Pat McAfee come out not too long ago. I want to say this was maybe a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago at the most, where Pat McAfee literally comes out. He was already out of action at WWE for quite some time anyway. Probably, I want to say, he did like Wednesday and Tuesdays. Like, I think he came in and did SummerSlam, and I think maybe a couple other shows or whatever. But for the most part, Pat McAfee has been MIA from WWE. And then up until like about a couple months ago, and he came out and put out this post saying that he's officially stepping away from WWE. I can't remember the reasoning or whatever it is. I assume he's got too much on his plate and he's not as passionate about WWE as he claimed he once was. I wonder who called that out years ago when they hired him. Again, a fan of Pat McAfee. So I ain't hating. Just calling it like I see it. And then now we get this past Friday night, Pat McAfee comes out of nowhere, and now we have Pat McAfee and Randy Orton trying to be, again, all respect to Randy Orton and all respect to what he's done with that feud. But it's not Randy Orton fucking up the feud unless this was Randy Orton's idea to bring in Pat McAfee of all people. And then you have people on Twitter, you have the IWC on Twitter running around with this narrative like, people are really mad about Pat McAfee being a part of now, and the entire, because IWC is pretty mad about this shit too. But you got a lot of people online claiming that, people are mad about the whole Pat McAfee situation. But who else are they going to call? Who else could they involve in this? Fam, like, this isn't even being sarcastic at this point. Like, have you been watching wrestling for the past 10 years? Past the 10-year mark. Because there's no way you can say that shit with a straight fucking face. I don't believe you. But you have Triple H out here doubling down on why they decided to involve Pat McAfee. I don't believe that they even believe the same shit they're talking about. Like, there's no way Triple H is believing the shit that spewed out of his mouth at this point. There's no fucking way.
Pat McAfee's the face of WWE to a lot of people. Pat's association with us goes back quite a way. I was vaguely aware of who he was. I knew he's a kicker for the Colts.
Got a lane down the sideline. McAfee's the only guy.
Pat McAfee is the face of WWE to a lot of people. Did I respond to this? Okay, I did. To who people? I want to know who are these mythical creatures that are looking at Pat McAfee as the face of WWE? You realize there's people that work at ESPN, and I've worked at ESPN for decades. I assume, not even assume, I'm pretty damn sure, 99.9% sure that most people that even work at ESPN, when they think of WWE, they ain't thinking of Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's own boys, when they think of WWE, don't think of Pat fucking McAfee. So what are we talking about? What is the real excuse that we're involving Pat McAfee of all people in this feud? Nobody's asking for him. That's all I'm saying. Nobody's asking for this dude. Who said we needed Pat McAfee? I would like to know, and I would like to have a word with them. This is what I said last Friday. WWE, like, again, people are talking about WWE having a storyline with Deborah. That's not the same thing as the Pat McAfee thing. And that's why I said only one problem. Pat McAfee has nothing to do with this at all. But this is a choice that they wanted to make. They wanted to say, hey, you know what? We're going to bring in one of the top sports casters, or, guys that talk about sports shows, host, or whatever you want to call it. He's the end all be all. But I'm like, look, bruh, with all due respect to Pat McAfee, nobody wants him involved in this main event. When you think WrestleMania main event, you ain't thinking of Pat McAfee. Shout out to Salty Butterbags. He says, Pat McAfee is that guy you finally say he ain't what you wanted, but he's what you got. I don't get what you're trying to say there. So the first part you're saying Pat McAfee is just that guy. You finally say he ain't what you wanted, but he's what you got. I don't think Pat McAfee is that guy when it comes to pro wrestling. He may be that guy on the mic. And again, like, all this shit seems so like, remember what we talked about with Maven, right? When I say we talked about with Maven, we just watched the video. But remember what we talked about with Maven on a live stream or two ago, where he's been saying the exact same thing that we have been talking about ever since COVID, at least. That it's overperformative. It's like Circus O fuck it. Like, we already know it's Circus Olay. We don't need the whole song and dance every single fucking feud, every single Monday night, every single Friday night, that it's Circus fucking Olay. We don't need that. Stop being so overperformative. Pat McAfee is the most overperformative motherfucker I have ever seen in my life. Like the guy, entertaining at times, funny. His friend group reminds me of some of my friends, and when we get together, we just talk shit and shoot the shit and whatever. I get it. I completely get it. But he is over fucking performative. So now you want us to believe that Pat McAfee has something to do with beating up Cody Rhodes. You want us to believe that Pat McAfee really hates Cody Rhodes that much. That's the issue. That's the number one issue I have. It's not the fact that we're involving Pat McAfee with all of this, which again makes absolutely zero sense. It's the fact that you were picking the one guy where we're like, not only does this make sense, why would Pat McAfee of all people, again, a guy that you think is acting like 99% of the time he's talking? I just don't. I don't get it, man. You got Pat McAfee sitting there kicking Cody Rhodes while he's down. Now, again, we can understand Randy Orton because Randy Orton's Randy Orton. Unpredictable guy, voices in the head. We got it. Right there with you. Y'all forget, nigga was a legend killer before all of that. All right? So Randy Orton's Randy Orton. But Pat fucking McAfee? And these people really think they're so fucking smart. That's the funny... Oh, you're supposed to be mad. The fans are supposed to be mad at this. Yeah, they got y'all mad. Yeah. Bro, it's not the same thing you think it is, bro. It's not like we're like, oh, Pat McAfee, that son of a bitch. No. We're mad because you involved this dude. We're mad because you could have picked so many other people that have history with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And this goes back to my tweet from a few days ago. I said, I like McAfee, but why do we care about him in this storyline, let alone at all besides commentating? Yes, I'm still salty they had him face Gunther last year. And then two, There are way better people you can involve in this with 2 weeks left. 3, this is going to turn a lot of people off to the list of people you choose from that have actual history with these two. You have 2 weeks to clean up this mess, or we're going to be looking at Triple H the same way we looked at Vince McMahon the last 15 years, on and off, obviously, except it took him a lot faster to be on the hot seat. Your boy cooked. Your boy cooked. Okay? So miss me with all that. Miss me with the fact that Pat McAfee is involved with this, and that y'all have to find a way to defend it and feel like, oh yeah, we're just going to eat up all the slop they give us and just accept everything they put in front of us. Nah, fam. You could have picked Kofi fucking Kingston. Again, not the best choice. I'm just saying, these are people that have history with both guys. And people are saying, what are they going to do? Pick Bob Orton and Ric Flair? Arn Anderson? I'm like, why is that funny? Because you really could do that. They did that back in the day. They would always involve legends back in the day. Not too long ago, they were still doing it. Vince McMahon at least somewhat knew how to use legends. I'm not saying all the time. We know that. But do y'all remember when Randy Orton faced Jinder Mahal for the WWE title for like the millionth time? But this time it was in Orton's hometown at Money in the Bank. Y'all remember that? And Randy, they had like the 5 legends that were close to Randy Orton that were still alive, obviously, Hall of Famers, including Ric Flair, including his dad, including Randy Orton's dad. All these guys. So it's like half a row full of legends and Hall of Famers that were close to Randy Orton in front row for this match. And even though that match was complete dog shit, that entire feud was dog shit, Jinder Mahal's reign was dog shit, it made sense as to why they added that to the part of the story. It made fucking sense. It made perfect sense. And nobody was wondering, why is Ric Flair sitting in front of Randy Orton's match? Why is, I think it was like Sergeant Slaughter as well, with Bob Orton. Nobody's like, why are we involving Randy Orton's dad? He hasn't wrestled in 60 years. It's called storytelling. It's called real storytelling. It's called the storytelling that has worked for decades, for a half a fucking century at the least. But now TKO wants to go back on that. Now TKO wants to be all big corporate. Like, we thought that Vince McMahon was big corporate. Oh, Vince McMahon, big corporate guy. No. TKO said, hold my fucking beer. They said, hold my lawsuit. That's what they said. Hold my fucking lawsuit. This shit is ridiculous, bro. Absolute dog shit that we have been fed going into WrestleMania. And tonight, you really think I'm going to be expecting anything different? You think I'm going to be expecting anything better? I'm hoping for better. I'm not expecting better. Y'all want to involve Pat McAfee. Y'all want to involve now Lil Yachty. Y'all want it to involve. Here's another celebrity I have a big bone to pick with, and I'm not going to go on the rant that I've already done rants on this bitch. But I posted this the other day or the other night on Twitter and Instagram, and I said, "Who the fuck keeps asking for this talentless gang member of an industry plant?" And I had to post this on here too. I said, I kept asking why they aren't on WrestleMania weekend. Guess I got my answer. Smaller venue. You want your celebrity guest? Look, here's what the main roster has, or here's what WrestleMania has for their celebrity guests. Lil Yachty. They got Speed. They got Jelly Roll. They got now what's his name? I guess you could count. I don't know if you want to count Pat McAfee as a celebrity or not. I mean, he's wrestled before and shit like that, but whatever. I'm sure the women are going to have a fucking celebrity. Like, again, like it's not like they're just like having little one-offs. No, Jelly Roll had an entire fucking match and then got RKO'd in the same night by Randy Orton. So these aren't little minor roles. These aren't minor parts for these celebrities. This is real shit. Real actual roles on these shows that they're been given. And kudos to them. I saw a little post Lil Yachty did. He put up yesterday. I replied to it. I don't know. I might be able to find it. But he was like, y'all don't understand. I'm a fan. I was out here living my dream. Y'all over here shitting on my dream. It's like, bro, it ain't about you, motherfucker. It's about the story. It's about the people that actually matter. That once it's WrestleMania is all said and done, who is still gonna be here? 2 months from now, when it's going to be another down period during the summer because, well, there's no WrestleMania in sight anymore. WrestleMania's over. There's no more summer. SummerSlam's not until fucking August. So they don't start building that up until fucking July, damn near. Who's still going to be there? Not Lil Yachty. Not Jelly Roll. And again, I'm not trying to get too deep in the whole celebrity thing. Like, I get the reason why they're there. I just want them to know, and Triple H and TKO need to know, it does not work. It's not working. WrestleMania is not sold out. It makes zero sense, man. Zero fucking sense. There's another video I have of Pat McAfee.